Humanity is mad. It must be mad to do what it is doing. What a massacre. What scenes of horror and carnage. I cannot find words to translate my impressions. Hell cannot be so terrible. Men are mad. Diary from a French lieutenant, dated the 23rd of May, 1916. Welcome to Things You Should Know, the Great War. Today's battle, known by all as the Battle of Verdun, will move away from the hot and way too wet area of the Hanna Defile and travel thousands of miles to Verdun, France, where German commander Erich von Falkenhayn and more than 50 divisions, consisting of more than 1,250,000 German soldiers, would attack French Commander-in-Chief's main representative, General Philippe Pétain, and his 75 divisions of approximately 1,140,000 French soldiers. This occurred on February 21, 1916, and the battle would last until mid-December of 1916. Before proceeding, it is important to note that this video cannot fully capture the Battle of Verdun. No matter how long or multiple videos I make, it won't cover even a small part of this battle. It is more accurately described as a series of distinct phases due to its size, complexity, and intermixing nature. Due to this depth, I can only provide a brief overview of each phase, so the videos will be broken up into 7 phases plus this introduction. These videos will appear in the series in a roughly similar timeline to what they occurred in the real world in the order the channel covers battles. This means today is an introduction, and I don't believe this will spoil anything since the battle ended 110 years ago. Phase 1. The initial German offensive. The German offensive commenced on February 21st, 1916. It was characterized by an incredibly large German artillery bombardment. This bombardment enabled the Germans to capture the French defensive forts in the region due to the French withdrawal of those defenses earlier in the year. Phase 2. The capture of Fort Douaumont. Phase 2 primarily consisted of the capture of Fort Douaumont, which was initially hailed as a significant German success. This was the largest stronghold in the area, and its capture allowed the Germans to assert their position and deploy troops and defenses. Phase 3. The French counterattacks. Phase 3 encompassed the French counterattacks that occurred from March through April. Several French attacks regained some lost ground, resulting in substantial casualties on both sides. Phase 4. Le Mort-Homme and Hill 304. Phase 4 encompasses the fighting for Le Mort-Homme and Hill 304. In general, the fighting for these objectives occurred on the French side of the Meuse River, where intense combat ensued as both armies collided repeatedly. Phase 5. The German offensives in June. Phase 5 commenced in June with a series of German offensives aimed at breaching the French trenches, but these efforts were ultimately unsuccessful. Phase 6. French resurgence and counterattacks. After a summer of German offensives, the French finally rallied and launched counterattacks in October and November. These attacks were successful in recapturing both Fort Douaumont and Fort Vaux, marking the reclamation of some French territory. And the final phase, Phase 7, the final French offensive and the aftermath. Phase 7 commenced in December with France's final offensive of the year. Despite incurring significant losses, the French managed to return to their starting positions they had lost in February. To give you an idea of the extent before we wrap up this introduction, the butcher's bill for the overall battle was intense and beyond almost anything else I think I've covered in my entire series of battles. The exact totals are hard to break out, as tens of thousands of dead were left on the battlefield and weren't even brought home until the late 1920s, more than 10 years after this battle, so these numbers are very conservative. The French casualties were approximately 355,000 men during the battle, including at least 143,000 men killed. That is approximately 35,000 casualties monthly, of which approximately 15,000 died each month of this battle. The Germans suffered slightly more at approximately 400,000 men, including at least 163,000 dead, which means approximately 40,000 casualties per month, and of that, 17,000 were dead. This was the single largest battle so far and an example of some of the most horrific experiences of war. Well, that's it for this introduction. Join us again next time on Things You Should Know, the Great War Edition.